Welcome to the Idea Climbing Podcast. If you want to grow as a successful thought leader, people need to see you and trust you if you want to become profitable. I discuss how to move along that spectrum with my guest, Christine Blosdale. Christine is the expert authority coach who helps entrepreneurs, creators, coaches, and thought leaders get seen, trusted, and paid for what they already know. She's an award winning media personality and 5-time #1 best-selling author with over 25 years of expertise in broadcasting, branding, and business growth. We dive into topics including the origin of imposter syndrome and how to overcome it, the biggest marketing mistake thought leaders make and how to avoid it, why, if you're not seen and heard, you're not hired, the one thing above all else that you need to do to be seen, trusted, and profitable, and other golden nuggets of advice. You're going to love this show. Christine, thank you for joining me for the Idea Climbing Podcast. I appreciate you making the time.
No, Mark, I've been looking forward to it. I'm very excited to be here with you. Thank you.
And we're going to dive into an awesome topic. I'm going to read it because I want to get it right. It's how to be seen, trusted, and paid for what you know. Before we get into tips, tricks, strategies, all that good stuff, when it comes to that topic, why is it important to you? How did you discover it? What's your story there?
Well, I have had many, many years of my own business and of course coaching my clients from all around the world. And I have found that there is a particular way of expanding your expert authority so that people get to see you, get to hear you, and ultimately get to trust you, which is the most important thing if you're in business. So I have been working on this for several decades. Worked in a major radio station in Los Angeles. I was a host and a producer, so I get to know what people want and like. I raised a lot of money online, about 1.5 million a year, for a nonprofit radio station. So knowing what people want and what they need and then delivering it to them is something that I've honed in over the years. Plus, I worked for America Online for a bit, and it was during the days when there was no TikTok, there was no YouTube, there was none of that. It was just pure communication, actually through written columns, through written work, through content. And so I've honed in my skills over the years, and I'm happy to be here to tell our wonderful listeners and viewers what we can do to expand our expert authority.
And before we get into the first part of how to be seen, I want to dive into something that we started to talk about a little bit. And I said, no, wait till we hit record. We can't lose this.
Yeah.
Before you can, or I'll say should be seen, let's talk about an elephant in that room when people are honest with themselves, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
How do you recognize it? How do you address it before you even put yourself out there?
Well, with the clients that I work with, we address that issue right away. And here's the thing, a lot of people experience imposter syndrome. Some people it more than others. Some people it's with them all the time in everything they do. Others it's they're fine until they're asked to stretch themselves. In other words, to do something that they haven't done before or do something that's a little scary, right? And so it might be asked to speak in front of a crowd of people. And if that person has never done that before, imposter syndrome can creep up. And what that is basically it's a fear of being found out. It's a fear of what other people are going to think about you. What will people say about you? Those type of things. It's a comparison mindset as well, where, oh, who am I to be speaking to these people? There must be other people more expert in that field or more credible in that field. And here's the thing, it happens to overachievers. So it happens to therapists, let's say, who have years and years of study and all the certifications and the qualifications and the experience. Overachievers tend to suffer from imposter syndrome more than your average person who's just kind of going through life going, oh, okay, I'll try that. Why not? But imposter syndrome can really stop you. And it's a shame because a lot of people who can be helped by you, who can be impacted by your coaching, by your consulting, they don't get that if you allow the imposter syndrome to hold you back. So we try and get rid of that right away. And there's a couple ways that we do that, but I'll leave that up to you if you want me to tell you.
Yeah, actually, let's dive in. Well, actually, first, before we get in a couple ways to get over it, what you just said really struck me. It's the overachievers that it usually happens to. I would have thought it was the underachiever who maybe doesn't have the experience in a 22-year-old's trying to be a coach. I wouldn't have thought overachiever. Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, it's because the overachiever has more to lose, right? Or they think that they have more to lose. Also, whatever it is that they approach in life, they really try and do their best and perfect it, right? And be successful in it. So, if it's something that they've never done before and it's scary in some way, then they may just want to not do it at all because they're like, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm not going to do it. And here's the thing, we don't need to do things perfectly. Okay. We're craving, humanity is craving like authenticity, a real person, flaws and all.
Hmm.
So that's one thing that I work with my clients is to be authentic and to come through authentically, and people will respect it. And your tribe or the people that are meant for you will be magnetized to you. So get over that. We want to get over that perfection
Well,
aspect.
on that note, let's go into it. What are a couple ways you can overcome the imposter syndrome?
A real key thing that I do with my people are is instead of focusing on you and what are people going to think about me? I'm too old to do this. I'm too this, that, the other. Take the focus off of you. And I know most people go, yeah, but it is about me because I'm being asked to do something that's scary.
Mhm.
Take the focus off of you because it's actually not about you. And when I say that, my clients will go look at me like they'll turn their head like a puppy does, like, what? It's not about you because if you allow this story of you're too old, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that, what are people going to say? Will they make fun of me? If you allow that to stop you, to put the puppy brakes on, right? And stop you from showing up, from doing those videos, from appearing on a podcast show, from getting out on social media, from speaking at that event, then the people that you claim that you want to help and serve, they don't get that help. They don't get those solutions to their problems, right? So I have a perfect example. I have a therapist that I work with, and she's brilliant, uh, extremely successful, and yet that imposter syndrome comes up. And I tell her every single time, I said, it's not about you, it's about your clients, it's about the people that you want to help who have depression and anxiety and are stressed out of their minds. If you don't show up, they don't get the help that they need, and they might go to somebody else who's not qualified, who's not the right person for them.
Ooh.
And as soon as I say that, that usually they go, okay, snap out of it. They slap themselves in the face. They go, okay, you're right.
So when it comes to moving into the three components, being seen, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Actually, yeah, what do you do to start being seen? Let's not say literally day one of coaching, but I'm a coach or I'm a consultant or I'm a speaker. I'm kind of doing my thing, but I want to be seen more. Where does being seen start?
So we'll take it back to on my website, expertauthoritycoach.com. On the bottom of every page, it says my mantra, and my mantra is remember this: if you're not seen and heard, you're not hired. that has a that has a feel to it, right? It reminds people if you're not being seen and heard, nobody knows you exist. So they don't know what you offer. They don't know if you can help them. So it's like what is it? If the tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, did it really fall or is there a tree at all? Right? So the concept here is you do want to be seen and heard, and you want to be seen and heard on those platforms where your potential clients, customers, patients, where they are, right? So what I do is when I talk to somebody and I have a strategy call, the very first thing is I find out what their personality is. I find out what their brand, their energy is, right? Because some people are amazing authors and they can write a book that is phenomenal, but they're not really great talkers. They're not really confident speakers. So for somebody like that who is well educated, has a business, and has written a book, we need to get publicity on that book and on them. I would probably shy them away from doing massive amounts of podcast guesting if they are not a good communicator,
Hmm.
right? And I would say, let's start writing some of those blogs or those opinion pieces, right? Let's have something that's structured that you have control over. So that might be doing some pieces of video for social media that they themselves have control over. And I'll work with them. I'll direct them, and and all of that good stuff. But it's important to know the personality. There's other people who, my God, their personality is so amazing. I have one client who, as soon as she started talking to me, I was like, oh my God, you're like a rocket ship. This energy that she puts out is so amazing, and she's funny and clever, and yet she's terrified of being interviewed. She's terrified of being on video. So my job with her is to make her feel confident, and so that she can be a mirror, so she can see how amazing she is. Now, with somebody that kind of a personality, not only would I say, let's get you booked on podcast shows, which I do, I help them get booked on shows, but with someone like that, something that would be really great is to have her own podcast show, because she's got such a great personality that people will be drawn to her. I also want to get her on TikTok, because TikTok is, the algorithm is such that it will bring people to you, your tribe. And then there's a couple other things that we can do to get her out there. But she's got to be on camera, and she needs to have her own podcast show, plus be a guest on shows as well. But it just depends on the personality. If somebody's very mild mannered, I would have a different strategy for them, as opposed to somebody who's woo right out there.
When it comes to being seen, to piggyback what you just said, how do you know what to show people? Because so many people, especially, coaches, consultants speaking, a lot of them have a lot of different things, and there's aspects of their personality, there's aspects of their brand, but they don't want to appear all over the board. It's when it comes to being seen, how do you know what to show people?
That is the key, because many business owners, coaches, especially service providers of any sort, what happens is they have too many things they offer. So the messaging, the brand, the messaging, it gets confusing. It's like, oh, I do this, I do that, I could do everything for everybody. Well, if you say that, and that's your tactic, because you're worried, you want to cover as many people as possible, you're going to not get anybody. Okay. It's the same thing if you go to a restaurant and the menu is massive and there's just all these things. It's so overwhelming that sometimes you don't pick, you just pick the thing that you know. Oh, I'll just take the soup, right? So what like to do is to work with my clients and say, let's work on your offer. Let's work on what you're going to offer. Let's hone in on that and focus on that. Let's work on a signature story, sort of like a TEDx type thing. That signature story is going to help you when you're trying to communicate what it is that you want to do. But the most important thing that I tell people is, if you've got too much stuff you're offering, it's confusing the hell out of the audience. So let's focus in. Once you get people into your world, then you can say, "Oh, by the way, I also do this and that, and I can help you with this and that." But to get them into your world, you really need to focus in on that one key thing that you do. For myself, even though I can do all of these great things for people, I say I whittle it down. I can help take the overwhelm and focus on your expert authority and
Mhm.
build that expert authority, right?
So once you're seen, let's move into trusted. How do you bridge that gap? Okay, I'm being seen, but being seen, unless tell me if I'm on point, is not immediately going to say you're going to be trusted. How do you go from successfully go from seen to becoming trusted?
Those are different steps that you can take along the way. And I encourage people to expand the content that they create, right? There's so many things that you can do. You can create blogs, you can create videos, you can create a book, you can create a guide, all those different things. If you have an arsenal of things that you've created, so let's say, um, let's say books. It's easy to write a book. Anybody can write a book. Excuse me. Anybody can write a book. And when I say anybody can write a book, a lot of times people go, oh, I'm not a good writer. It doesn't matter. I'm a talker. I don't write. I talk. And then I use a software program to help me create the books. But the book that you create, it doesn't have to be huge. It can be a guide. It can be 40, 50 pages. It doesn't have to be a massive, novel. I try to tell people too, it's really important. Take things in small steps. Okay. Write a book on your expertise. Self-publish it if you want. Okay. It's easy. It's super easy to do. When you have a book, you become more trusted. When you have several books, you become even more trusted. When you have a best-selling book or best-selling books, your expert authority, the trust factor goes up. Another thing is that if your website is just full of text and copy and no images of you, no video of you speaking directly to the person, then you're not connecting and there is no trust factor. Why would I want to give somebody thousands of dollars to be coached by them if I don't get to actually feel their personality or see them speaking, right? So that's why the importance of paying attention to your website, what you put on there, the importance of doing video. I know you, Mark, you do video. You make sure that you're out there and you're seen. I loved it. I've told you the first time I met you how impressed I was with the content that you create and the visual appeal that you have, right?
Thank you.
So automatically in my mind, you're more trusted, right? So showing up and doing those things are really, really important. And of course, the most important thing is when you have that discovery call or strategy call with somebody, that first opportunity, you want to show up, you want to be excited, you want to focus on them, on the client, not on you and all your things that you've done and how successful you are. That will gain a lot of trust. You will gain the trust of potential clients and customers if you focus on their needs, their problems, and you tell them how you can help them. It's not about you. Again, it's about them.
Ooh, I want to jump in with what you just said. Another thing we were talking about is when a coach, consultant, speaker, someone, an information expert puts something into the market because, oh, this is what I'm an expert at, buy it. And you just said you're focusing on what they need. Unpack that a little bit because that is so freaking important.
This is the biggest mistake business owners make. And I'm talking especially coaches, coaches, consultants, service providers, right? You provide a service. This is the biggest mistake that I see. And when I work with my clients through this and we actually get them off of that train, they're so grateful because they, like, a light bulb goes off and they go, oh my God, I didn't realize that I was pushing something that nobody wanted. Okay. So, example, during COVID, those lovely times, I was actually very busy. And I was very busy because a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands and they wanted to pivot. And so my bread and butter back then was a 4-week podcast coaching program where I helped people create their own podcast for their business. So that was everything from concept, cover art, legal stuff we got to do, how to record, how to edit, how to publish, how to market, right? So 4 weeks, we would put that all together and they would have a beautiful podcast at the end of it. Well, that was my bread and butter. I was working constantly on that. Had lots of people sign up for that program. COVID, goes away, whatever. We're more free now. And the market's changed. Not everybody wants a branded podcast show. My clients, the people that were in my world, actually, that wasn't their most important, their problem. The problem was they weren't being seen, heard, and trusted. They weren't getting out there. Their brand was mushy, if that. There was no connection to potential clients about what they offered. So luckily, I changed, I pivoted, and I focused on those needs. But I equate it to, it's the analogy is basically that of a stapler versus a sandwich. And a lot of business owners, a lot of coaches are pushing the stapler. This is the best stapler. It's going to help you make six figures. And you know what? The month of February, it's 50% off. You can get access to this amazing stapler. Okay. But the audience, your target audience, the market is saying, I don't want a stapler. I just want a sandwich.
Mm.
And we're pushing that stapler. This happens in so many businesses, I can't even tell you. And so when you stop that and you actually analyze, figure out what your audience, what your target demographic, what they need and want, and then offer them that, your business will completely change. My business has completely changed. Normally, October, November, December, a little slow, a little things slow off. It's been the opposite. October was busy. November got busier. December was insane because I focus on what people need and want and not just the stapler.
So once you get trusted, how do you make the leap to paid? Because on a lot of people, especially service providers, there's a pick your brain syndrome. Oh, I can do that. And then it's weird asking for money. But once you're trusted, how do you get paid? And I'll say without being pushy about it.
Yes, that's where where being a magnet is important. I'm not certain if are you familiar with human design a little bit at all?
No.
Okay, so in human design, you can look it up. You put your birthplace and the day that you were born and everything. And what I've found for myself, um, is the avatar or the character of projector. And it was very frustrating finding out what projector is, because projector is you stand in your glory, you do your thing, you be magnificent, and you don't hustle and try and get people. You stay in your glory and you stay in your genius, and you magnetize or you draw people to you. And I will say this, we all have an energy, okay? And not to get woo woo, but we all have an energy. Your LinkedIn page has an energy, your website has an energy. You yourself have insane energy, right? So if you have desperation, if you're stressed out and you're trying to make these, super offers and trying to bring people into your world, that people could feel that energy, and it's off-putting, right? Nobody wants to jump aboard the Titanic. So it's really having a space of confidence while working on creating all of those elements that will make you trustworthy,
Mm.
right? Making those offers, creating the video content, all those different things, and standing in that confidence. That's how you're going to magnetize and bring people to you. That desperation stink, it doesn't work. It turns people off. So we have to focus on being confident and creating
Okay.
that energy that draws people to you, and that's done through several different ways, but you just can't be that desperate person.
Okay. I know people listening because they don't have to tell anyone. They can think it to themselves like, ah, crap, that's me. And I totally agree with you there. I think it's called Curlian photography, developed in the 1930s. Literally can take pictures of the energy you're exuding. So if someone's watching or listening and they're realizing maybe I am a little uncomfortable, or maybe I am a little, money's down and I'm a little bit desperate, how do you shift your energy?
Sometimes it's having somebody from the outside looking in and telling you what they feel and see. A lot of times we don't know. We have blinders on when we're in business, especially if we're a solopreneur or a coach by ourselves, right? We have these blinders on, so we don't see that our website is not connecting with people. We don't see that when people go to the website, oh my God, there's so many things that we offer. People drop out. So you sometimes need either a mentor or a coach or somebody that can look from the outside in and say, okay, this is confusing, or this image that you used is really off-putting. I was just telling somebody just the other day that I have a client who's a therapist, and it's all about trust, right? You need to trust this person because you're going to be vulnerable if you're going to be talking about your issues and your traumas and things. So I went to the website, and I saw the first thing I saw at the top of the fold, but above the fold, okay, that means before you start scrolling,
Mhm.
as soon as the website pulls up, There's some text there, but it's a bridge, and it's a big bridge over water, and it's kind of dark. It's like sunset, I guess, or sunrise. I don't know. But I said immediately when I saw that, I said, I don't think that you want to have that image be your image. How about a video of you communicating with your beautiful, soft, loving, caring personality, communicating with that person who's looking for help? That would be better to have that video play. I said, do you know what I get when I see that bridge? I think I want to jump. I feel like I want to jump off the bridge. And you're a therapist. So maybe you want to reconsider the image that you use. And she looked at it and she said, oh my God, I've had that up there for a year. And I
Oh,
didn't realize. She said, it's just a bridge, it's a famous bridge in where I live. And da, 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 da. I
oh.
said, well, I said, and I'm not a depressed person. I'm very optimistic. But I said, when I look at that, that's the first thing I think of. And so she listened to me, and we worked together, and she changed that whole thing. But we need somebody sometime from the outside looking in.
That's a beautiful button. We have covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. When it comes to being seen, trusted, and
Yeah.
heard, people listening and watching, like, okay, I get it. There's a lot of good stuff here. Whether it's reinforcing something you said or touching on something we haven't touched on yet, if you were to tell people when it comes to being seen, trusted, and heard, at least do this one thing, at least do this one thing, what would you say?
Be authentic. Be authentic. We're craving as a society. Humanity is craving authenticity because we see things in front of us and we know they're a lie. We know that it's not real. We don't trust people. So if you're able to be authentic, if you're goofy, be goofy. If you're serious, be serious, but be authentic. And people will be attracted to that. Your tribe, the people that are meant for you will be attracted to you.
And this has been awesome. If people want to find you online, where's the best place or places to go?
Best place is expertauthoritycoach.com. They can book a free strategy session with me. It's 30 minutes. They get a recording of it, and we go over their brand. We go over their messaging. We find out if they are truly showing up and being seen and heard, and hopefully we can get them hired.
This has been awesome. Thank you for the time, Christine.
Thank you, Mark. You're wonderful. Love you.
Love you too. And on that, close.